Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about different settings for managing external teams as well as Skype and consumer team searchability configurations that we can do within Microsoft Teams Admin Center. And the same configuration can be enabled across the organization depending on different use cases and how we wanted to make it enabled, right? So it is something that when we wanted to let people communicate with external world by using either their work account or with their maybe consumer identity, right? So these days people are using different type Teams access or Teams level applications or access, we can say, which includes the consumer identity, be it Outlook.com, Hotmail.com, or any other application where they have signed up to the Teams applications and they can communicate with. And there are legitimate use cases as well as there are other side of it, which could be either bad actors are trying to reach out to your users or the teams and share the unwanted files, or it could be any files, right? It could be .apk file, it could be a script embedded to that respective file. And we have seen that there are different types of attack vectors. People or majorly fraudsters as well as the bad actors are trying to push or share it across. And that is why organizations are very strict on those situations where they have deployed up different policies across the organizations to detect those files and block then and there. And those should not be delivered. Even if that is delivered, then users should be discarding those files and chats, right? And that is why companies are not enabling the access levels on the consumer identities, right? But there is another way for us in order to limit it down at certain extent when we wanted to enable it for a particular group of users, maybe few users who needs to communicate with the partners, customers, vendors, and they don't have their enterprise domain to communicate with. Enterprise domain, it could be their organization name.com. Let's say if there's an organization called ABC, they have their domain with abc.com and they can communicate easily. But if we are blocking certain domains or certain specific domain, only those domains are allowed or specific domains are allowed to communicate. But if we are keeping it across the open, then it is going to be something both organization has to keep it open so that both organization can communicate. Otherwise, it is going to block that communication and there's no communication going to happen, right? And majorly this is seen in the organizations or industries specific to finance, insurance, right? Health. And apart from that, there are other organizations or other industry organizations as well who are taking care of this very seriously, right? So there are other sides. One is business to business, right? Wherein we would be allowing all those list of domains to communicate with our internal users or organization. And another side of that is people from their consumer identity, be it Yahoo, Outlook, Google, Hotmail, right? And then they are communicating with our internal users with our domain identities. And we can simply block those. Even we can block the enterprise domains as well, even if we don't want that to happen, because anyone may be claiming that I'm from particular organization and I wanted to communicate with you or respective user, and then can you give me this particular details about this project or this business or this product, right? So those are the situations where we wanted to tackle it out, and that is why there are different policies, right? To other side of that is when we have legitimate use case where we wanted to allow people to communicate with external party or external users, right? In that case, we have to allow certain settings, and that settings is under external access by creating a particular policy. And there are certain default policies created by Microsoft. We can leverage those as well, depending on a use case, how we wanted to allow that and how we wanted to enforce that on a specific group of set of users, and only those people can communicate. But still, we have to make sure those people are communicating only to the right set of people across outside the organization, and then they are whatever communicating or whatever the data channels and everything is being shared with them, that is for the right set of and legitimate business use cases, right? So I'm going to show you how we can enable the teams from or external communication from 365 admin center and teams admin center both, and then definitely there are decisions to make either for whole organization we wanted to allow it or only for a specific group of users. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll simply share my screen here and we can go ahead and start it. All right, so I'm on the Teams admin portal, but before that, I would go to the 365 admin portal here, and from here, I will simply go to settings, then org-wide settings, right? So from here, we can scroll down a bit, and here's the option for us, Microsoft 365 group. And from here also we can enable on a group level teams, right? And then that is going to be allowing us to make you okay, there was a delay. Okay, so from here you can see that we can allow the adding ownerless groups as well as this is specifically for groups, right? And but if you wanted to look into the teams level experience, and here there's an option for us which says if we wanted to allow the guest, we can allow by using this option, let group member access group content. So this is the content option. And this is the option for when there is no owner, email and ask active group members to become one of the owner, right? So this is the notification type for the group level. I'll simply discard it. And there is option for us for teams specifically. Let's go ahead here. So that it load. Perfect. So here you can see that this option is needed to be active for us to allow to be communicating with external party, even if we are not adding them as a guest, but at least we should have this option to communicate with them. If we uncheck this, that means this is going to be turned off, and then this is for teams to be activated for all the users. So this is, or this does not have any concern with it, right? Only this option. So for now, I'm going to keep it active or as is. And the main thing or main settings, we need to go ahead and make the appropriate configurations and changes within Teams Admin Center and external access, right? So from here, you can see that I have this configuration, or we have these different options, and each option has different configurations that we need to do. The first option says allow all external domains. That means each and every domain is going to be allowed. Allow only specific external domains. By selecting this one, we get a list of domains which we can add here, and only those domains can be added and be able to communicate with our organization. Block specific external domains. So this is opposite to this allows specific domains, and block all domains. This is specific to all the domains across or outside our organization. So it is opposite to allow all external domains, right? And the very important configuration here is these three settings, right? So these are the settings which helps us or make us vulnerable at one point, and that's why we have different ways by creating right set of policies and only allow certain configurations that we can do. For now, you can see that in this tenant, I have enabled all those options because I have allowed communication to be happen with consumer teams identity as well as external domains, right? So I have kept it to all and then other options. So you can see that people in my organization can communicate with unmanaged teams accounts. People in my organization can communicate with accounts in the trial tenants or trial teams tenants, and people in my organization can communicate with Skype users, right? So these are the three configuration settings which will simply allow users to communicate with any user outside our domain, outside our tenant directly, right? And it is not, or there is no boundary at all, right? Now, this is the org-wide setting, you can see, but if you wanted to limit it down to a specific group or specific group of people, then we have to create a separate policy. So earlier, this policy setting was not there. This option was not available, but this option is being developed and Microsoft has made it available for us, for the customers across the globe and organizations. And there are certain default policies that you can see here. Now, if you wanted to go with the default policies, you can simply directly go ahead and edit and assign a specific group here to this specific policy, any of these one. But if you wanted to create a brand new and custom policy, let's say I'm creating custom policy for consumer teams account. So I'll just simply name it, and from here we can make the appropriate configuration and save it, right? So let's say save it. So it is going to be saved. Now, once it is saved, this is the custom policy. I will simply click on it and assign users. So I can either assign it to specific user or simply I can click on view users, and it is going to show all those users if there are any, because there is no currently user. So simply go back to the policies and yes, click on policy and assign user. Maybe I can simply search a specific user here, and this user is going to be or is able to communicate with that respective external users or external party, right? Because we have created policy, and this policy says that this specific user should be able to communicate with external parties. It is taking, I believe it is going to take a bit of time here just to show that change, but policy is created and applied successfully, right? So now there are different scenarios why we wanted to allow this and why we should be enabling it, right? So as I said, if we wanted to turn it off for whole organization or org-wide, then we should simply go ahead and turn all of these options except this one. Because, and even if we wanted to turn this off or block or keep it open for specific domains, we can do that as well. This is depending on the organization requirement again, how we wanted to treat that communication or how that needs to happen. Because if we are allowing certain domains, only those domains should be able to communicate. If all domains, then all the domains would be able to communicate across, right? And then if you wanted to limit it down or drill down to this policy specific, then we can go ahead and create custom policy, allow that respective policy to communicate with the consumer identities, with external domain or outside the organization, only for those group of people, and those people can go ahead and communicate and chat with them, right? So yeah, that is how it is going to work. And for guest access, we have this guest access capability here. We can see that this is a pretty straightforward, either make it turn on off or keep it as you wanted to customize the policy or this configuration. So this is pretty straightforward. And at one point or at one context, whatever the configuration is shown here or setting, this setting does not implicate or reflect or make any difference or change here in the external access side. But definitely, at least when we wanted to let people communicate and access, we can make this option enabled to be able to communicate, right? So yeah, that is what I wanted to show you and talk about it. So hope you will like it, and please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also watch other videos around SharePoint Teams, Exchange, as well as Microsoft 365, and ID is the major one, Azure and FinOps. So yeah, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.